We're in and we're live, so hello, and sorry we're running a little bit late, and I hope you're still there. So today I'm going to introduce my guest. We're going to be talking about creating a collaborative work environment with social media, and on my left is Eric Tung, and many of you already know him. He is a regular attendee of Social Media Breakfast and an amazing community member. So he's going to be talking a little bit about his day job this time, which is going to be cool. And on my left is Matt Guidera, and he is with IBM. And he is working in the IBM Collaboration Solutions Center. And you're in Austin, right? No, where are you at? You're everywhere?
I'm everywhere.
Yeah, he lives in the cloud. So he's always roaming around the country, probably talking about IBM Collaboration Solutions. So we're really happy to have him here today to talk about kind of IBM's take on this, because they've done a lot of work in collaboration over the years, including inside their team. They do have a product, but also they have completely revolutionized how they do their own work inside of IBM with that. So I'm really excited to have them here, and I'm going to start kind of with a softball, which is how are you using social media collaboration right now in your team at BMC? Could you talk a little bit about that? And a little bit what BMC is.
Sure. Okay. So BMC software is one of the top private software enterprise companies in the world. About 6,000 employees, headquartered here in Houston. You might know the building over here off Beltway in Westheimer or so. About 82% of the Fortune 500 uses BMC in one way or another. It started in mainframe. Now we're in cloud, IT service management, help desk, IT operations, workload automation, performance and availability, and mobile. So
There'll be a test later.
Yes. Make sure you take notes. So we use social in a lot of different ways. I want to say, we are a chatter customer, so we do have that component of it. So, we've got obviously people globally in like 40 different countries at BMC. So chatter really gives you that opportunity to, even though you may not be in the same place or even in the same time zones, right? You can still start discussions and kind of use that as a social tool for collaboration. So I think that's
a good start. Yeah, so that gives us a little idea of where you're coming from. So they're using like a global, basically, integration of this kind of discussion. And so with IBM, I'm not sure. So let's talk a little bit about what your team is doing and how you're using your own tools in lots of ways. And could you give us like that background of how it came to be that you were using these social collaboration tools as a company?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'd love to see, just by show of hands, how many people think of IBM when they think of like social media collaboration. Everybody? All right? Exactly. So we're in the space now, and you may think of IBM as like a mainframe company, or like where you get your grandfather got a typewriter from, or something like that. But we've actually been in this space for a while, working with a lot of large enterprises globally, trying to figure out how an organization can use collaborative tools, analytics, and be more mobile, and have kind of like a social flair to what they're doing, but then get what comes with the IBM badge, which is high-end level security, making sure that the right people are putting in the right information in the right place. And we started this actually internally. And this is a big driver for us. We have a culture where we actually promote sharing your expertise, sharing the work that you're doing. And internally, we had tools that our research groups and like really type-based software developers put together to have a profile internally. And this existed before LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, but you could do all of those things and connect with people globally. And so if I showed up somewhere, I'd say, who else is in this area in my space? And I can easily look that up. And you don't know how I was connected to them. And then a lot of people wanted to blog internally and have communities and wikis, and we just developed all those tools for ourselves. And then what we've done is that we kind of worked with our customers to figure out that, hey, other people want these things. And so we've kind of turned it outside now. So we've taken our own internal tools and are enabling other people to do it. And that's what I do in my job at IBM. I spend time working with our customers to help them see what they can do to kind of connect people internally, and more in the software and the technology is actually the culture, and to help them understand what it will take to get people, to get executives, or to get people to want to share more.
That is a great question. Thank you for setting up my next question, Mac. I think that that's really an interesting part of that. So beyond the tools, which we'll talk about a little bit later, like which tools are you going to think about using? Because I'm assuming many of the people in the audience here are not enterprise level. Okay, so I don't know. How many of you are enterprise level? How many of you have clients that are enterprise level? Yeah, okay, so a couple of clients. Okay, good. So I would say that, you know, how do we take what you guys have learned and crunch it down into a way that we can understand how we can bring it to our clients or use it? And the first thing is people, right? And I know you've done a lot of work too on that on the people side, Eric. So could you talk a little bit about how you do that? How do you get executives and all those kinds of people to buy into these kinds of technologies and use them?
I think it's really, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Go out there and kind of show them how other maybe competitors or customers or partners are using technology and show them the results that are coming out of it, right? Is it increased awareness? Is it better collaboration? Is it, you know, increased sales? What does that look like? And how can we carry that through to the executive and say, hey, you know, we started a Twitter account today or, you know, a month ago or whatever, and we've had a 5% uptick in clicks to the website. We can attribute that this way. So go through and figure out how like reinvigorating just even your employees to help share stuff like that can result in some kind of
So do you have a story about how you've done that? Like, do you have an example of? Could you give us an example?
Well, we started almost all BMC executives on Twitter within the last year, like up to like CEO and everything, and we saw like a couple 100% increase in clicks to the blog because the executives were more tightly tied to the blog and kind of thing. So we saw clicks through that way. So that's just one example. We've used different tools like Chatter. We also have a blog platform on Jive, which we also use kind of as the collaborative tool as well. So we'll have like kind of secret communities within Jive where you can have discussions and blog posts and upload documents and stuff like that. I mean, they're secret just because they're, you know, internal info and stuff. But so both of those we've been able to kind of use as a way to just kind of have people up. Here's some new products coming out. Here's where you get the information on it. Here are 5 tweets that you can put out for us, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of, you know, kind of in the beginning, it's a lot of kind of hand feeding people and just kind of coaxing them into it. I've read somewhere that like 80% of your employees are willing to help you share stuff on social. They just don't want to get in trouble for it. They don't know what to say, right? How many people know that there are people in their company that don't know the difference between like an app handle and a hashtag, right? So do it for them, write it out. We have a new product today. Here's your link, here's your hashtag, here's, you know, everything all in one place. Maybe even an image if you trust them to upload it or whatever. But make it easy for them, put it all in one place. And even a couple of our business units will do like a weekly email. So you don't even have to go out to find, you know, your 5 tweets for the week. It'll be emailed to you in your inbox. All you have to do is copy and paste it. And there's actually some tools now. You can actually create a link. I don't remember what the tool's called. You can create a link that you click on the link and it'll pre-populate that tweet in the Twitter for you. Yeah, click to tweet something. Yeah, so you can populate it in. So you have the URL in the email that says click to tweet this. You click on that and it opens Twitter and has that text in the form. All you have to do is hit tweet and you're done. So there's lots of different ways I think kind of that you can make it easier, and as the easier you can make it for people, the easier it'll be for people to
Those are great tips, and I also would like to say that even if they're not employees, I mean, this for people here, you have networks, and that's another way to get your networks to share. You know, if you have a share group, you know, if you have a group that's like, hey, we really support your organization, or if you're a nonprofit, that's one way some nonprofits are doing it too. So I would like to hear how you guys are kind of doing that. How are you getting this up to the highest levels and getting all of your executives to use this kind of technology?
Yeah, so again, at IBM, it's part of our culture. So if you could think about, you know, the the Big Boss's quarterly newsletter that comes out, right? How do you receive that most commonly? Is it most likely an email, right? That's sent out with a bunch of stats, and this is how we did. That's not how we operate now. We actually have our CEO has a video blog, and internally she posts a video blog every quarter, and even in between that says how we're doing or changes that are happening. And the best thing that comes out of that is the feedback. Nobody will hit the reply all button and say, I think that's fantastic, or oh my gosh, this is a big mistake for our business. But people will comment on a blog, they will like it, and the feedback comes back to the executive line saying, hey, yeah, I saw that 50,000 people saw this, and we have a whole thread of comments here that started discussion. And what's happened is that our executives have found that it's a great way to listen to employees. And so it's an open channel communication instead of a one-way that usually just comes in an email, but you don't know how many people read and really what happens to it after you click send. Same thing with files that get out, reports that are generated. They now have a life of their own, and people are sharing with them, commenting on them, and you always know that you have the latest version because it's in a single place in a repository. And all these tools that we've made available, I mentioned, working with the enterprise and stuff like that, but these are things that we've learned in 20 plus years of collaboration on how to deliver these types of things. I had a lot of customers that were maybe setting up in small, medium, large, doesn't matter. Could be a company of 10 employees, could be 1,000, could be 100,000. But we found that they were setting up and needed tools, so they were like making hangouts and setting up Facebook groups and building their profiles together on LinkedIn. But then there's attrition, or people move on and they go get other jobs, and it's inappropriate that they still have access to those files on Dropbox, right? If they went to work for a competitor, or it's against some sort of regulated guidelines if you're in medical or in financial, right, to work in that space. And so that's why we got into the market of delivering these tools and making a safe, secure place for companies of any size around the world to use us in the cloud to be able to do exactly what we're doing. So it's been just a huge change transformation, and not only the idea, but the concepts of, hey, we've learned a lot here in the big space. Let's bring it to everybody in the market.
I think you make a really good point about culture too, because part of being collaborative comes from the top. Do you have like a collaborative culture? So I want to talk a little bit about a collaborative culture and what are the elements of a collaborative culture. I'm going to ask Eric to kind of talk about his, because I know you've spent a lot of time working on getting people into this kind of culture. So talk a little bit about what that's like, because 20 years plus, and you've been in, how long have you been working for BMC now? Like
3.5.
3.5, yeah. So there was stuff before you, but this has been a big piece of your focus. So could you talk a little bit about that?
I think, okay, so when it comes to like employee advocacy of the company, so if you're talking about trying to get employees to help you share stuff socially, I think the first step is to look at your social media policy. Right? So when I started at BMC, it actually said you cannot share anything on social that you do not have written approval from the copyright holder to share. So you had to write to the New York Times and say, hey, can I share this link that you posted? And officially, so take a look at your social media policy, make sure it is open and welcoming, and not standoffish and shut down. Right? So I actually wrote one for one company I worked for a few years ago when we did all this training and stuff, and it turned out that it was kind of don't do all these 15 different things, so people just didn't really think at all, right? So there's actually a big database online. If you search for social media policies, there's like 300 social media policies of the world's biggest companies. I think IBM's got theirs on there. There's really well known. If you ever look at the IBM employee or account on Twitter, it'll say just follow the social and computing guidelines of IBM. So you can actually read that and see what all that means. But from a collaborative standpoint in general, I think it just has to be a company where people are willing to share what they know. Right? There's companies out there that people are all about themselves, and they're like, hey, I found this thing out, so I'm gonna keep it for myself so I can, look better. But from our perspective, I feel like there is just so much collaboration in, hey, we just found these practices, let's all out so everyone else can do the same thing. And with Jive, with Shatter, with even email, if that's all you have, you can get out there and just really, have a lot more people in the know on just about the environment.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that you say that this idea of collaboration goes beyond the walls. That collaboration is also amongst even our competitors and ourselves, because collaboration is something that all folks, rise together, I think, in some ways. But you guys have have you publicly posted your social media guidelines somewhere?
I don't think we have. Most of our policies and stuff say like, I think most of the policies are like confidential. Most of ours are still pretty restricted. But yeah, check out that database. There's like literally like 300-400 social media policies from all like 400-500 companies. So.
I do have to take a commercial break from our sponsors. And our sponsors say that if you ask anyone parked in the TGF haircutter spaces to move their cars, and I'm actually parked in one, so somebody needs to move my car. So I forgot to move it. Yeah. Anyway, you want to do it? Yeah. It's in my purse, which is in there. I'm sorry, we get to say that. I totally trust her back. So. Maybe anything else too. Yeah, maybe anything else. Anyway, but TGIF haircutters want people to move. I'm parked in nails, and they'll probably tell me to move that in a minute too. Anti-ad. Somebody come take my car. I don't know. That's okay. Anyway, that being said, let's get back into this. So let's talk a little bit about what was I? Yeah.
Yeah. So, by the way, you didn't mark there, get a haircut afterwards. So that was clear with me.
Yeah.
Right?
I need one.
There we go. We were talking about guidelines and posting it. So our effort was actually grassroots as we were making our tool called Live Connections. We looked at the internal and external use of how people were communicating. And grassroots, we actually used our own ideation platform to come up with best practices. There's a dozen of them, and if you Google IBM social computing guidelines, we openly publish this and use it as a framework to help any of our customers or anybody out there to really understand what they can start on, as Eric was saying. And the big thing that's behind it was kind of to Eric's point, but the big driver of the mantra that we had was like, it used to be that knowledge was power, but now we're at the point where sharing knowledge is empowering, right? So how can we better kind of surround that idea and work internally together as well as externally for our customers, our partners, our vendors, or those who will be, right? And so with that idea behind us, this is how we just kind of gave everybody the trust, confidence, and ability to go out there, to have social media accounts on whatever they want, to retweet things from wherever, to talk about what they do with IBM freely and openly. It's been awesome for us.
How do your customers kind of respond to that? Do they basically take what you have and kind of pull it together and change it a little bit for themselves? Or kind of talk to me a little bit about like different size of customers and sort of bigger challenges that you're seeing. Do you work with a lot of people putting these things in place as well? So give us some of their challenges and how they're overcoming them.
Yeah, so I work with customers again around the world in many different industries. So a hospital, right, that wants to get their employees to share information internally. We worked with one that had a great practice in allowing their patients to actually come together and have secure chat forums to basically talk about diagnosis, prognosis, and things that were concerning them, right? So return on investment was they weren't getting calls at the nurse's station anymore saying, hey, I have this question, is this food all right for my child eat, stuff like this. They now had a place where doctors, nurses, patients were all working together in a single place. It looks like there's a general, like, you can do this for everybody, but it always takes like a tailoring to figure it out, right? Is somebody in the banking or engineering or manufacturing or even retail industry, going to be able to do this? I work with a large home improvement shop, and every employee on the floor at the headquarters has an account on our system that allows them to connect and share information. So when you go and ask a question about lawnmower, like how you can get connected to the right person in your location that can answer that question for you. That's empowering. They're not going to say, let me get back to you as I'm here, I don't know, or let me go find somebody. Right there from the palm of their hands, they have information available to them. So it's the idea mostly of we need to connect people and find answers whenever we can. That it really becomes kind of the model, and then we just kind of tweak it for different situations, what their policies are, sometimes what the legal and HR departments will allow, what the communications teams want to allow. But the big thing is, again, goes always back to people and culture. How do you want them to work together? How do you want them to grow? Do you want to retain talent, right? And make sure that that investment in the people in your organization are going to stay with you and continue to grow and help out customers or work together to kind of promote everybody else.
That's great, and I think that's really interesting to look at that, like how is it going to, like to keep the big picture in mind, I guess, which is really the goal. How do we create collaborations that will make us move forward as a company together? Also, along that line there, do you guys also empower employees at IBM to share socially, and how do you do that, like through social media, like externally? Do you talk about that a little?
We do. And kind of like I was saying, sometimes we put together like maybe a package tweet, right, or LinkedIn updates that you can do. And so to kind of get people to dip their toe in the water and say, hey, this is how you can confidently talk about a product release or event that's happening. We also use it as a way to kind of connect with our customers, right? Why cold call people anymore? Send an email. Instead, we heavily use LinkedIn. IBM is actually the largest user of LinkedIn out there, right? And we're constantly making connections in that way, and also using our own internal network to continue to build and foster those connections. And the strong internal use that we have around sharing and the promotion that we have of that at all different levels, from our executives top level down, really makes it a no-brainer when you need to reach out and work with somebody else. So even now, like if you were working with IBM on a sales proposal and wondering when this will come in and how much it will be, instead of emailing you with the file, a lot of times we set up a secure community that we can invite someone to externally and work with them there and feedback and bring in multiple vendors or partners or a designer and have everybody working in a single space kind of collaboratively. We build it up, get it done, get it down, and nobody has to wonder again, like, oh, I can't put that email or find out the final result. It's about working out loud and allowing people to see what's happening and to be part of it and not wait until it gets to some point that somebody decides it's good enough to send.
That's really good. And I know that these kind of collaborative environments are becoming a huge part of what we have to do. So with all of that, what kind of training do you have to put in for your employees to get them to the level where they're using? Because I've had a lot of experiences with putting in new softwares or new processes, and then nobody uses them. So Slack is awesome if you all are on it, but like if nobody talks on Slack, then you can just talk to yourself. So could you explain how you're doing that?
So I want to say Chatter was around at BMC before I showed up. So it's been around for over 3 years, and probably somewhere in the 1 out of 4 people use it regularly. I would say, I think, just based on that, sticky finger on the air kind of thing. But we actually, from the social advocacy side, just started with Strategist. We have a tool where we can populate in for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and people can authenticate in their accounts and just click on share this, and it goes straight into their social offer if you want, or you can schedule it. So training for that, we had 2 or 3 like half-hour, hop on a site call trainings, and we recorded them. The biggest part was we also had current context at the same time. So there's a leaderboard on the saying you get so many points for sharing posts, you get so many points for likes and retweets, that kind of thing. We had a contest, gave out a MacBook Pro and a couple like Apple Watches to say, hey, if you're one of the top people at the end of a month, then you can win some of this stuff. So we had out of 6,000 employees, I want to say over 800 of them signed up for this social advocacy within one. So that was, I thought, pretty awesome. No, so this is through a separate module. Just they have like an employee advocacy module, so they don't need to script their seat. They can just sign up and pop it And if you are not sprinkler level, that's pretty enterprise. It's pretty expensive. Sorry, sprinkler. There's lots of other just standalone employee advocacy tools out there, at least for that in the wrong hand. So.
Yeah, if anybody knows what those are, you can like tweet them out a little bit in the stream. We can share them a little bit later. How are you guys handling that with training?
A lot of it is kind of just a force that it's there, right? And that's the go-to for information. We made it part of our search. So anytime we're looking for information, we actually have a more people-powered search than we do an algorithm search, right? So what people are sharing or bookmarking or commenting on actually becomes higher relevancy than, what this machine says, through some algorithm that will give you. Then and you can learn from other people that way. We've also made quick little movies, 2 to 3 minute movies that help get people started. And we found that as we've been doing this over the years that we can create help text and put stuff together, but people are always gravitate towards a movie and you just got to watch it and then you do it. And then you experiment, you go on, and we've actually made a huge design focus with our product connections. We have a design house over in Austin actually that does nothing but just think about the ease of human-computer interactions, right? The reason people understand where they're looking, how they are clicking, and making that kind of the tenet base of how we design software. So that's gone into it a lot. Help with kind of getting on board there and making it simple.
That being said, you just mentioned connections, which we talked about a little bit. And they were quick to tell me back in that no, anybody can use it. You can use one person. I'm like, oh, me and my computer can get one. No, I haven't seen it. Tell us how you can use it. I mean, my question was, what if your organization is ultra small or even solo? Can you use these products?
Yeah, well, of course, it makes sense with more than one person, right? As with anything. But you actually, it's very easy to sign up and even just try it down our cloud. If you go to ibm.com/social, you can learn all about our products. Anyone can register for free and try it out. I think it's like a 60-day trial period, and you will be shocked at how low this is actually priced. Again, my grandfather worked with IBM. It's very expensive, and this is how it works. It's actually not the case. We're very competitively priced, and I think that you'd be surprised about how easy it is to start using it, as well as how it fits your budget. Again, companies at any size, could be a group of 10 people, it could be a group of 100,000, like I was saying. It's been built for scale and to take advantage of small teams as well as large groups.
That is your idea universal. Do you guys wear blue? If I like, okay, that's good. Awesome. That being said, I mean, there are a lot of tools. I wanted to be clear that, even though IBM sounds very out of reach, it is actually very in reach. So if you like or you need that security feature, I really think that security feature becomes really important for some organizations. So,
also, Eric's been mentioning a lot of tools. Our capabilities are actually all wrapped into a single platform, right? So you don't have to go to one place to do video chat, another place to do your mail, another place to do communities, another place to share a file. We brought this all onto a single platform because we've actually made it people-centric and purposeful from that standpoint. So everything you do maps back to who you are and who you're connected to, instead of the thing that you want to do. I want to share a file, or I need to do a video chat, or I need to have a discussion. It's more like, I'm working on this and I need to bring those elements into my work as opposed to going outward and doing it. And that's been a big help in our training as well, because you just go and you're logged into your profile page, and that becomes the pivot point of how you get stuff done.
Yeah, that's interesting to me too. Having one place, it seems a lot like internal LinkedIn to me too, because if you have a big company, you can kind of find who's knowledgeable about something across the world. That's interesting to me. So that being said, I want to just, where are we on time? 9:14. Okay, good. So I want to kind of just start to maybe open it up for questions a little bit and see if other people have questions about collaboration in general. I have my other questions here, but I'd like to hear if there's any thoughts out there about how you're using things and how you need it. Yeah. What is it? Like, so she's asking, she has a company that it's really employee based. I mean, they don't have any customers, direct customers probably. They don't have any direct customers. And so she's asking, how can she, just do you have any thoughts about how to make that kind of a team, work together? I think that may be that to you, Mac.
Absolutely. So you probably maybe share things in email today mostly, right? And constantly just have threads going or files that are being sent out that way and projects that are going on and you're wondering, where are we at with this? So our platform connections allows for people to share files within communities together and to have like the media communication that they need to kind of move more quickly, be agile in how they're working, and be dynamic. So say a new person joins the project and you just add them into the conversation as opposed to forwarding them, the 50 emails that they missed before the thing started. It helps a new employee get up to speed quicker, right? Without having to read through massive amounts of documentation or anything like that. So it actually fosters a huge amount of internal collaboration and gets out of the old barriers that technology has kind of given us for a long time, trying to figure out how do I get this to somebody, right? But not want to wait for their response or figure out what version am I on and stuff like that. So absolutely, can help you in that way. And that's the best thing. She said she's building a culture of sharing ideas and getting things out of the box. Part of our platforming conventions is ideation, right? So anybody can go in and create this ideation center, and then you can start adding in their ideas and promoting them. It might be like, where do we focus the project on? Or it could even be a fun thing. We had a group at IBM that did the sweater competition in the holidays, right? So they all did selfies and self-posted it. You liked it in the top 1 month. It's a way to kind of foster that communication, and that goes into training. Like, how do we get people to use this? You make it fun, we also give it purpose and allow people to share their thoughts, their ideas more.
One thing in addition to that is if you have a platform like that and people leave, you can see what other files are still there. So, for example, one of my least favorite things is like, did we post an image on President's Day last year? I don't know. Someone probably emailed it to me or whatever, right? Like, you're not going to go through Facebook and scroll down to see it. So now you can probably search for President's Day, see if there was some kind of project around that. And then you can see what the messaging was. Funny, what's serious, was it whatever. And then you can better match that going forward. So.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, one other thing on that is to Eric's point, you can map it back to the person that posted it. Even if they're not part of your organization anymore, you can see where they were, and what their title was, who they were connected to, and build a sense of why that's important. If it's a picture, or it's a file, it's information that you in your company needs, and mapping it back to people always helps.
Yeah, even at enterprise, when you have like a share drive, I've been in the share drive lifestyle. That share drive lifestyle, then somebody leaves the company, and then their little drive is sitting there, or their little folder is sitting there, and after a while, IT comes in and says, "Okay, we need this on server," and they're like, "Whoosh," and then all of it's gone. All of it's gone. And so, like in communication, I think that's really tough because that's your background, right? That's what you have. Or hey, your computer crashes if you're solo. It's gone. Like, okay, it's all in the cloud. That makes a huge difference, I think, for that. Okay, good. Next question. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. Yeah, okay. Okay, so she said that she's been using Snapchat with her clients to show them something really quickly and then get going. And she does something like that. And I would say, wow, getting your clients on Snapchat, I give you like props, man. It's good. It is, yeah. Snapchat is amazing. I love Snapchat too. Anyway, yes.
So within our platform, so we made it easy to like upload a movie so you can be on your phone and share like something that you put together like you would for Snapchat, but instead upload it to the community that you're all working in. The great thing about it is that everybody can see that it's been there. People read comments on it and maybe say this was helpful, but I like this, right? You never know through Snapchat if you're getting that right thing. It doesn't disappear, right? Yeah, yeah. Right, absolutely, yeah. And that's the best training, and you find that that's the best way to share information now too, right? I was working with a trucking company, and they actually enabled all of the truckers to, instead of writing reports, just send in pictures, deliver this, right? And now the marketing team learned how their product was actually being used because that communication never happened from the guy who was dropping it off to people who received it. And so now this new communication just through image and video media has changed the way that they share information. So what you're doing, I think with Snapchat is pretty good. And maybe getting to the next level would really be helpful there and foster the communication around it.
What I find most interesting about that, so if you have like clients, I was asking a very specific product question now, but and it goes back to what you asked or somebody over there about sprinkler. You know, you have to buy a seat for everybody that comes on. So like you are working collaborating with your customers. You know, how do you do that using these kinds of tools?
This is like huge softball for me. So the way that we make connections available in the cloud, you actually register for people within your company, but then if you want to share it externally, like invite people to work and collaborate with you, like I was saying earlier, that is free. We call it the guest model, and you have limited licenses to invite guests to work with you, right? So you just buy it for your employees and the people that will use it, and then if I want to invite you to look at my video or to comment on a blog or to share something with more people in my community, it's just putting in your email address, you get the invite, and it's no cost to our organization.
Yeah, actually, the reason I asked is because one of the things you could do is put up like things, the most frequently asked questions list, and like do a little video of like the most frequently asked things and show them what the show and tell version. Put it up on there, and then just invite them in to see the video whenever they ask the question. So that's one way you can kind of use technology like this, and you can set it up in other ways. But I like the free idea. That's awesome. Yeah.
You just have yourself, and then you go out to other clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a 10-person shop and you have clients all over, Texas or wherever else, you can just add them in. It actually makes you look bigger than you are, right? And this is kind of the idea that we're doing behind this is that we again wanted people to be empowered to share and also, kind of represent their knowledge that they have. And so this was kind of the mantra that we have moving forward.
So the questions about collaboration. Yes. So how do you get reluctance from people to join in with whatever project or event you're putting on or social media thing or whatever? How do you overcome that reluctance to get them on board?
I think it just goes back to making it easy for them, right? Is it if you're telling them, hey, go tweet 3 times today about this one thing that we have going on, maybe they don't know what to say. But if you provide them 3 tweets, then all of a sudden it's a whole lot easier to do. Tell them they can do it on LinkedIn or Facebook. I mean, whatever they want to do. Offer them some way to get out there and promote it. So, I don't know.
I would say I'm a big fan of the pilot project. Doing a pilot project of anything, like nothing is ever permanent that way in our mind. Okay, we're just going to try this and see how it works, and then executing it really well, and then bringing them on board that way. Because then they see that it worked, and when they see that it works, they often get over it. I had an engineer when email for external email first came out. Gosh, I'm dating myself. 1994. I came in, I was a young person, so they said, hey, you're in charge of putting external email together. I'm not an IT, okay, thanks. But the engineer came in and said, I hate this thing. This means I'm going to actually have to answer people. And he hated it. And then, in about a year's time, he just saw how powerful that collaboration could be, and he changed his mind. So sometimes you just have to do it and like work on saying, hey, this is not permanent. You don't have to have email forever.
How about leaderboard? Like sometimes when you see people's names like on a list somewhere and you're dead last, like if it's like posted somewhere in the office, you know, they're not going to want to be last. So, gamification. Yeah.
Yeah, gamification is great. I found actually that there always is going to be someone that ties their to-do list to their inbox, right? That's how they manage their day. That's just the way they've been brought up, and it's not going to change. Or there's somebody that knows where their files are in Explorer, and you can't, rip that out of their hands. They don't want to find another way to work. And so what we're doing is actually taking what we have from like social tools and integrating it and fusing it into what they do. So if your head's down in your inbox all day, we have a plugin for you that will still show the community of what people are doing and allow them to see that interaction with the inside of Outlook, if they will. Or if files are being shared right out on the cloud, and there's an entire conversation happening in and around it, new versions being put up, and it's part of the event that you're putting together, they can map Windows Explorer to it and still get access to those things, right? What will happen is there's a pivot that happens in time where they say, oh, I see more of the conversation out on these tools, and I want to be, part of that, like Eric was saying, but the ease of adoption is actually about meeting where they're at and not forcing them to come to where you want to be.
Yeah, on the way by integrations, like if you're looking at the software, make sure you also see what it integrates with, because that's really huge. Like I thought you said that, I always look at what it integrates with. I go to the integrations page on any new software I have to say, what does it integrate with? The more things it integrates with, the better I feel about it.
One more thing, speaking of like integrating with other stuff, like see if you need to put time on the Outlook calendar for them to do it. So we've had like subject matter experts that are perfectly willing to write blog posts for us, they just don't have the time to do it. So once every other week, we'll put like 2 hours on the calendar that says, hey, write this blog post this time here, right? So now they have a dedicated time that they have set aside to do something for us. If you can put that in there on the calendar for them, what other excuses do they have?
Or do it for them, like during that 2 hours, go in and say, bring a video camera in. Bring a video camera in and ask them questions like this, like what we're doing right now. And then afterwards have somebody like transcribe it. And then it's all of a sudden you have a blog post. So there's a lot of really, creative ways that you can get people that won't do it involved. But yeah, there's going to be those that there's going to be those questions, or whatever you want to call them, that aren't going to play ball. Other questions? Yeah. So she's asking about how can you give her some ideas about how to streamline the process of putting together a big event using your software, I guess.
From my standpoint, I would put it in communities of cloud and give everybody access so that they can just go and get the latest information and have a single place that they confidently know that the right information is out there at the right time. That was this integration, we're talking about that. Not only is it a web platform, but also mobile, right? So it's about how people can get that information, keeping it in sync to a lot of documents are flying around, have the system auto sync to your desktop when it gets updated, or to your iPad when it gets updated. That way you always have the latest and greatest. You get a notification, hey, so-and-so just updated this document. You can go and read it and approve it, put your comments on it, and the conversation is very fluid, as opposed to this huge thread that just gets unwieldy. God forbid you take your eyes off it one day and then try to catch up.
So yeah, keeping things in one place. We've been using it. My team has been using Asana for a while too. That's been a really lifesaver for us, just to make sure that we're all moving along with the projects and keeping them documented. For projects that we do over and over again, say the social media breakfast, give the guidance we do every year here. Everything is in Asana. Like I have every task, and then I just duplicate that task for next year, and then I have my to-do list already done and ready to go. And I have people in the team on it that needs to be a part of it. So I think that having like processes is really important for like these kinds of things because you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. Otherwise, you're spending way too much time on things. Other questions? Yes. I'll tell you why we laughed in a minute. So she asked, she's working with a very wide variety of ages, from people that have been like basically on their iPad as they're like in their mom's womb, all the way to the stone and chisel people that were actually there with Moses. So that's why we laugh. Yeah, the original tablets, they made them. So the question is, how do you kind of bring that together, that digital divide?
I love this because it's a huge opportunity to bring those two groups together. And a lot of organizations actually have this problem in that a large set of their employees are set to retire. And there's a massive amount of knowledge that they have that needs to be shared to this younger generation that's coming in and getting into the workforce. And so one thing that the HR department set up is mentoring, right? So that as an executive or somebody gets hired within there, I can bring in a new employee, help them understand the roles, get up to speed with what the business is, or how to be productive or learn right from that relationship that you built. At IBM, we looked at that and said, well, why don't we set up a reverse mentoring program, right? And so we paired young people, right, with their iPads, these digital natives, with the older group, and said, these people will work with you to understand, how you create information, how you want to share it, and what would be of value. And in the meantime, they got to learn that part of the business. I actually did this myself, but I learned so much part about IBM and its operations through mentoring senior executives that I had never known about. Things that I didn't even know we did, like metals research, right? Or what we were doing in Africa. It was amazing. And all I did was just teach that person how to put a blog together or have frequently asked questions or their ideation type of area. So that reverse mentoring is very powerful and builds much more than just the training. It's also a relationship that will continue.
Yeah, that's great too, because you talk about that and strategy. I mean, the older generation being in there too. We've had a lot of experience in strategy, whereas like a younger generation is more connected with how to like put these things together, the tools and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I was going to say, to that point, I think I heard somewhere that the average mainframe person now is 65. So if you work in mainframe, there's like younger people trickling up into it, but to that point, there's lots of knowledge there that needs to get shared. Also, kind of the opposing people might be either do it for them or like don't have them included if it's really, really hard. So, for example, does anyone know like the sheriff of Maricopa County, like Arizona? He's the guy that makes like the prison people wear like jumpsuits and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's kind of out there, right? So I was talking to their IT people, and they say that he actually has a typewriter on his desk. There's no computer in his office at all. So if you're literally serious about that, when people are to that level, if he has something that he needs, like help desk wise or something, someone else just fills it out for him, right? So don't expect everyone to be able to hop on to these platforms and be able to do that.
That's good. So you just said that people are homeless. All right, then. Oh my goodness. Anyway, they're not watching this anyway, so they're going to be offended. Anybody else have a question about collaboration, how we can help you set that today? No questions. Good. You guys got a lot of great ones. So what time is it? It's 9:34. How perfect is that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you very much, my guests. I'm going to give you one last chance to say, hey, was there anything we didn't ask that you would have liked to add that you think we should add about collaboration and workforce? Some of you can think about that. And in the meanwhile, the people that have jobs to offer, I want you to come and stand over here. while we're doing these last comments, and then we will share our jobs and go forward with that. I also want to remind you to sign up for the email list at SMBHOU. You just text SMBHOU to 44222, and you will get onto our list. Anything else you want to add at the end?
So on jobs, I actually work in recruiting marketing now. So if you are looking, check out bmc.co/careers. That's Bravo Mary Charlie.co/careers. We've got 185 current openings right now, and we're headquartered here in Houston. I would say on collaboration though, a lot of it can just be based on what kind of tools you have access to. Right? So even if you are like, I don't want to buy something right now, or that might be too expensive, there's lots of different ways that you can utilize things that you already have out there to fill that space. So I don't think we're going to talk about that either. Is kind of shifting from the email perspective, but then also what is there?
Yeah. There's free tools like I mentioned, Asana, which is free. Slack is free. There's some tools like that out there that don't cost anything. So the idea is changing your mindset using a tool that's going to help you to at least take the first step for that. Right?
We all have something in common, and that's that one time we were kindergartners. I need to take this back with you, okay? And there's two IBM kits, and I love these tools that they have. Ask for help and share, right? And these are, you guys are all into, the idea and the concepts behind this. And you can go back to your offices and bring those ideas back and remind people how important that is and how important the organization, right? And no matter what tools you use, just think about that in general. How can we have a culture of people who are going to share and ask for help, right? And not feel like people feel bad about them or that they're making a bad decision. Just put it out there. Work out loud and have confidence to kind of play that area. And then when you are thinking about the technology, just know, make the decision. Does it integrate? Does it look like a brand? Does it help us work better together and make the right decisions there for the long term? Because overall, it'll help you kind of strengthen who you are, give you a lot of voice than you would have just by yourself.
Work out loud. I love that. I'm going to write that on my computer desk. Because when you're working with people like I do, all over, all of my team is all over the Houston area and around the world. How do you keep yourself together and cohesive as a team? And I do think working out loud is a way. And certainly, flipping from office to office, we know how much of a time waster that is. So how can we fix that? And also the dreaded reply to all email, which is like, oh my gosh, So anyway, thank you guys so very much. Let's give them a hand for coming and sharing with us. Thank you very much. All right, do you have any jobs?